Take a look at your dinner plate. If you live in Bangkok, Manila, or even Hong Kong, there is a 90% chance that the chicken, the rice, or the shrimp you're eating passed through the hands of one single family. Most people think the world is run by tech giants in Silicon Valley. We obsess over Elon Musk's rockets or Mark Zuckerberg's algorithms. But in Southeast Asia, the real power doesn't live in a smartphone. It lives in a seed. While software companies fight for your screen time, one man fought for your stomach time. This is the story of Dhanin Chearavanont. He didn't just build a company, he built a system that ensures an entire continent stays fed. But here's the part no one tells you. The empire we see today started with a single devastating failure that almost wiped his family out before they even began. In this documentary, we aren't just looking at a balance sheet. We are looking at a 100-year blueprint of how to survive revolutions, world wars, and economic collapses. By the end of this, you'll understand why your local neighborhood looks the way it does, and why you might be a customer of this man without ever having heard his name. The reason Dhanin is a multi-billionaire isn't because he sells food. It's because he owns the entire process of life. Most businesses focus on one thing. A farmer grows a chicken. A factory processes it. A store sells it. This is called a horizontal market, and it's dangerous. Why? Because you are at the mercy of your suppliers and your buyers. If the grain price goes up, the farmer dies. If the store raises its fees, the factory dies. Dhanin realized that if you want to be bulletproof, you cannot rely on anyone else. He pioneered vertical integration on a scale the world had never seen. Imagine this. CP Group sells the farmer the seed. They sell the farmer the fertilizer. They sell the farmer the chick. Then, they sell the farmer the feed to grow that chick. Finally, they buy the chicken back, process it, and sell it to you at a 7-Eleven, which they also own. He created a closed loop where the money never leaves the family pocket. It sounds simple, but applying this model in a war-torn, developing Asia was a gamble that shouldn't have worked. Most people try to do one thing well. Dhanin decided to do everything well. But there's a catch. To make this work, you need more than just money. You need a level of discipline that borders on the fanatical. To understand the man, we have to look at the dust. In 1921, two brothers, Chia Ek Chor and Chia Sao Nui, fled China and arrived in Bangkok's Chinatown with nothing but a dream and a few bags of vegetable seeds. They opened a shop called China-Thai. At the time, they were just middlemen. They imported seeds from China, sold them to Thai farmers, and hoped for the best. But young Dhanin, the fourth son, watched his father struggle with the volatility of the market. He saw how a bad harvest or a disrupted shipping lane could destroy a year of work. When Dhanin took the reins in the 1960s, he didn't want to just be a shopkeeper. He wanted to be an architect. He traveled to the United States, studying how companies like Arbor Acres were using genetics to create super chickens. He realized that the seed wasn't just for plants. The seed was the biological data of the animal. If he could control the genetics of the livestock, he could control the efficiency of the food. He brought this technology back to Thailand when the country was still mostly agrarian and poor. He was laughed at. People said Thai farmers wouldn't understand industrial farming. Dhanin's response? He didn't tell them. He showed them. He offered farmers a deal. I give you the chicks, the feed, and the medicine. You grow them. I guarantee I will buy them back at a fixed price. He removed the risk for the poor, and in exchange, he gained total control of the supply. Now imagine doing everything right and still facing total collapse. By the late 70s, CP Group was the king of Thailand. But Dhanin was restless. In 1979, China was a black box. It was a closed communist society that had just spent decades rejecting capitalism. Most Western CEOs looked at China and saw a graveyard for capital. They saw political instability and a lack of infrastructure. Dhanin saw something else. He saw 1 billion people who were hungry for protein. He didn't just dip his toe in, he dove in head first. When China opened its first special economic zone in Shenzhen, CP Group was the very first foreign company to register. Their business license was 01. If the Chinese government had changed its mind a year later, the entire CP empire would have been nationalized and lost. But Dhanin understood identity politics before it was a buzzword. He positioned himself not as a foreign invader, but as a returning brother helping the motherland modernize its food supply. Today, in China, CP Group is known as Zhengda. They aren't just a Thai company there, they are a part of the Chinese fabric. They have their own TV shows, their own banks, and their own real estate. People who truly understand wealth don't just chase profit, they chase alignment. Dhanin operates on a rule called the three-benefit principle. This is the logic he uses every time he enters a new market like Vietnam, Indonesia, or the Philippines. First, our business must benefit the country: taxes, infrastructure, food security. Second, it must benefit the people: jobs, cheaper food, better nutrition. Third, and only last, it must benefit the company. He argues that if the company is number one on that list, the people will eventually rise up and destroy you. By making the company number 3, he ensures the government and the public need him to succeed. But this brings us to an uncomfortable question. Can a company become so beneficial that it becomes a monopoly? If you walk down any street in Bangkok, you will see a 7-Eleven. Then you walk 50 meters and see another one, and another. In Thailand, CP Group doesn't just own the stores, they own the license for the entire country. There are over 14,000 locations. For many Thais, 7-Eleven isn't just a convenience store, it's the neighborhood pantry. It's where you pay your electricity bill, buy your lunch, and get your banking done. This is the ultimate evolution of vertical integration. By owning the shelf, Dhanin can decide which products live and which products die. If a small entrepreneur makes a great new snack, they have to go through CP to reach the masses. This creates a warning loop. If you skip the step of understanding retail power, your product, no matter how good, will never see the light of day. Dhanin turned a Japanese-American brand into a Thai weapon of mass distribution. But here is where the story takes a complicated turn. The very thing that made Dhanin a billionaire, his vertical integration, is the same thing that has created a massive friction in the lives of ordinary people. When you own the seed, the feed, the farm, the factory, and the shop, you become more than just a businessman. You become the infrastructure of the country itself. And in 2026, the people living in this empire are starting to realize that efficiency has 5 very high costs. 1. The environmental fracture, the smoke in the north. Every year, Northern Thailand and Laos are choked by toxic haze. CP Group is the primary buyer of the corn that drives forest burning for land clearance. The closed loop that feeds your chicken is the same loop that chokes your lungs. Despite 2026's tighter traceability laws, the demand for cheap feed remains the root cause of the smog. 2. The competitive fracture, the shelf war. Imagine you're a small business owner who invents a great new snack. Once CP sees your data, once they see your product is a hit in 7-Eleven, they have the power to launch their own house brand version. Suddenly your product is on the bottom shelf and their version is at eye level. 3. The digital fracture, the telecom duopoly. In 2023, CP merged True and DTAC, turning Thailand's mobile market into a duopoly. By 2026, consumers are reporting higher bills and zero real choice. CP now owns the digital oxygen of millions. If you don't like their service, where else will you go? 4. The market fracture, the Tesco Lotus monopoly. By acquiring Tesco Lotus and owning Macro, CP Group gained control of the supermarket and wholesale sectors. They now control the farm, the factory, the wholesale center, and the convenience store. Economists warn that this level of concentration kills innovation because nobody can afford to compete with a giant that owns every link in the chain. 5. The political fracture. The Xinjiang tightrope, CP's deep ties to China have brought them under the global microscope. In late 2025, international inquiries into supply chains in Xinjiang forced the company into a defensive position. As a returning brother to China, Dhanin's successors are finding that in 2026, you eventually have to pick a side in the global power struggle. If you think Dhanin is just a chicken man, you're living in the past. As the world shifted to data, Dhanin shifted with it. He realized that the person who knows what you eat also needs to know how you talk and how you pay. Through True Corporation and True Money, CP Group now knows what you buy, what you watch, and where you travel. The strategy hasn't changed since 1921, only the tools have. The seed is now a data point. The feed is now bandwidth. The chicken is now the consumer. What does it feel like to be a Chearavanont? Unlike many Western billionaires who hand their companies over to professional CEOs, Dhanin kept it in the family. He has spent decades grooming his sons, Supakij and Sufachai, to take over. This is the secret sauce of Southeast Asian conglomerates. It's not about the next fiscal quarter, it's about the next generation. Dhanin often speaks about simplicity. He says business is just about making things easier for people. But there is a weight to that legacy. Imagine being the third or fourth generation, tasked with maintaining a machine that employs hundreds of thousands of people and feeds millions. If you fail, people don't just lose money, they lose their food security. Here is the truth that most documentaries are too scared to say. Dhanin Chearavanont is both a hero and a titan. He is a hero because he modernized the food supply of Asia. He helped lift millions of farmers out of subsistence poverty. He made protein affordable for the masses. In the 1950s, chicken was a luxury. Today it's a staple. But he is a titan because his shadow is so large that nothing else can grow beneath it. This is the coconut tree effect. The tree is magnificent, but the shade it provides kills the grass. The tension in Southeast Asia today is whether the three-benefit principle still holds true in a digital age. Dhanin Chearavanont started with a seed shop and ended with a global conglomerate. He proved that in the East, family isn't just a social unit, it's the most powerful business structure on earth. He didn't build a business for the next quarter, he built it for the next century. He mastered the art of being too big to fail by becoming too essential to ignore. Whether you view him as a visionary genius or a ruthless monopolist, you cannot deny his impact. You probably interacted with his empire today without even knowing it. The next time you walk into a 7-Eleven, look at the logo. You aren't just buying food, you're participating in a 100-year-old masterclass in survival. The seed has grown, the world has been eaten, and the family is just getting started.